Hello, hello. I'm Tawfiq Akir, and welcome to Conversations for Your Health. Now, in this episode, I am speaking with health coach, personal trainer, and nutrition expert Dianna Carr. Now, Dianna is the owner of Be Well Health Coaching and believes that wellness is the process of making decisions and choices to improve your health and overall quality of life. And we are discussing how mindset and accountability influence a lifetime of wellness. Hey, Dianna, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I appreciate you coming on today. If you could just share with the audience a little bit more about you and your background.
I would love to. So I'm actually a career changer, and I got into health coaching through my own personal health journey. Back in 2015, I was diagnosed with a autoimmune inflammatory bowel disease called ulcerative colitis. And at the time, I was told by my doctor that I would be on medication for the rest of my life, and that was the only way to treat my disease. And I wasn't happy about that, but I had a 1-year-old son. I was at the peak of my federal government career, and I just didn't have time to be sick. So I took the medication and I went on living my life. Fast forward to the fall of 2018. By this point, I had my second child. I was still kind of climbing that corporate ladder, burning that candle at both ends, so they say. And I just felt bad. Migraines, fevers, nausea. I just really didn't feel well. And, as a mom of 2 kids in daycare, I just assumed I'm mom catching whatever germs they're bringing home. I'm sure that's what it is. Unfortunately, that wasn't what it was. And in December of 2018, I ended up in the emergency room with extremely elevated kidney levels. And the doctors didn't really know what's going on. So weeks of blood tests and ultrasounds, finally a biopsy, revealed that that medication I was put on back in 2015 actually now all of a sudden was causing this allergic reaction and permanently damaging my kidneys. And that was a huge wake-up call for me. I had to get pulled off that medication right away. I was put on steroids, and I needed to overhaul my diet. Now I needed to manage my ulcerative colitis kind of on my own. I needed to learn how to eat with impaired kidney function. And I just knew that I really needed to take control of my health. And so through diet changes, through stress management, mindset work, I realized how much better I felt. And I made the decision that this is what I wanted to pursue for my career. I wanted to leave my old job behind. I wanted to further my education, and I wanted to work with people to help them be healthier. And so I went back to grad school. I got a master's in nutrition. After that, I pursued my health coaching and personal training certifications. And here I am, just very passionate about wellness and wanting to help as many people as I can recognize, the warning signs before it's too late.
Yeah, that's it. And it's so interesting when you spoke about the medications and how the medications trigger other things. I think a lot of people don't realize sometimes that when you're taking medications that you also still need to focus on improving your overall health and vitality in other ways. Also, I remember many years ago, I had gotten a blood test or something for my checkup, and the doctor told me my liver numbers were really high. And so he wanted to put me on this medication. So I go and I research the medication, and the medication damages your liver. And I'm like, so you're more worried about getting the numbers down than actually giving me a healthy liver, right? And so it's so important for us, I think, just in general, for us to really pay attention to those things. And although I always tell people don't go on the Google search to try to find answers, but there is some information out there that can help you to find the person that can actually help you and to give you other alternatives. Because I think that as health coaches like us, we need to work with doctors instead of doctors putting us off or shunning us. Because it's interesting how doctors don't want to work with us as health coaches, but they always tell clients, you need to lose weight and you need to exercise, right? It's
Yep,
so interesting.
absolutely. I wish I knew someone like the me now back then that could have, talked to me about diet and lifestyle changes, and that there would be alternatives, and of course, hindsight is 2020. It was a bad experience, but at the end of the day, it really did change my life in a positive way and put me on this new path. And so, though I'm not grateful for the health challenges, I am grateful for where I am today and that I can share my story and, hopefully let other people know is you're right. Like, question what you're being put on, understand what your alternative is, and above all, like focus on those diet and lifestyle changes.
Exactly, because nutrition can actually heal the body. We know this, it's scientifically proven. And you mentioned about mindset and accountability, and of course, that's what we're focusing on today. So give me a little bit more about that, like how you approach that with your clients.
Sure. So, I think mindset and accountability are both really crucial to your success when it comes to health and wellness. From the mindset perspective, it really can make or break your wellness routine. And what I see in a lot of my clients is self-sabotage. And I'm sure that's a term that a lot of people are familiar with. But basically self-sabotage can happen, you're going along, things are going well, and then all of a sudden those negative thoughts creep in, or you encounter limiting beliefs that all of a sudden, get you derailed. And I think signs of self-sabotage that people need to be aware of, because it can rear its head in different ways, is things like perfectionism. So, always being too hard on yourself, striving to make everything perfect. So then as a result, you don't end up doing anything because if it's not perfect, you don't want to move forward. I think that can really hold us back. Or pessimism, always looking for the negative, something's going to go wrong, or, this is too good to be true, instead of focusing on the positive. Or, self-doubt, feeling like, I'm a phony, or I'm an imposter, I can't do this. You're holding yourself back from this potential. One that resonates with me is always overcommitment, right? We take on too much. We don't know how to say no. So we say yes, 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 until all of a sudden, now we have all these responsibilities that we can't actually focus on the things that matter most, like our health and our wellness. And then of course, burnout, burnout's so common now. Everyone is just in this constant state of stress and exhaustion. And that's another form of self-sabotage, where you're so burnt out that you don't have that energy to take care of yourself. And so I think it's really important that individuals are aware of self-sabotage and limiting beliefs, so that they can break through those things and then really step into the potential and the life that they truly deserve.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. Yeah, and it's interesting too, because a lot of times people that get into that self-sabotage rut, and if you do it long enough, people don't realize that but it kind of becomes kind of your identity.
Yes.
It's like you kind of identify with whatever the issue is that you're dealing with, and that becomes a harder way to get out of that bubble. I remember training a young lady, and she had PTSD. She had all kinds of issues, and every time she would speak saying "I have" before she would say anything. So it became her identity. And then when we started coaching her and getting her healthier, she couldn't even keep doing the program because she was getting healthier and she was losing her identity because she had lost that identity of being the victim, the PTSD sufferer. And so she didn't know what to do. I have to quit. And it's really important that, like you said, it's this self-sabotaging mechanism that we do with ourselves. And we all do it. Even us as health coaches do it sometimes. Like you said, overcommitting to clients, overcommitting to other things that we sometimes overlook our own health and wellness. I had that happen like a year and a half ago when I had to sit back and be like, wait a minute, I'm giving all of my energy to my clients, but I'm not giving enough to myself. And that, like you said, is a form of self-sabotage. Now, what are some ways that you have helped your clients to combat self-sabotage?
Yeah, absolutely. So, really mindset is key. It's developing that positive mindset. And you can do that through several ways, which we can talk about, positive self-talk, showing yourself grace, practicing gratitude, and we'll kind of take those one by one. But when we talk about having a positive mindset, it's really about like your outlook. Are you a glass half empty or a glass half full person? Another way to saying it is, are you an optimist or a pessimist? And really your answers to those questions may affect your health, because your mindset plays this huge role, from the motivation to take care of yourself, to how you respond to stress, to just how you feel about yourself and your confidence. And so, one of the questions I always ask my clients is, are you your harshest critic? And a lot of times that answer is yes. We are so hard on ourselves. To everyone else around us, we talk them up, we build them up, our kids, our significant others, our coworkers, we talk them up. But for us, it's always, I'm not good enough, or why should I even try? Because, I'm just going to fail, or I don't deserve this. And, I always encourage you got to nip that language in the bud, right? Why? Because you are good enough. You do deserve to be happy, and you can reach your goals. And a positive mindset is really what's going to get you there. And one of the things I like to encourage my clients is to really just flip your script, right? So replace your I have to or I need to with I get to and I choose to, right? So as an example, instead of saying I have to exercise, think I get to exercise, right? I have a strong and able body that can go exercise. I get to do this for my body. Or a lot of times I hear, oh, I need to eat healthy. What about I choose to eat healthy, right? I choose to put the right foods in my body so I can feel my best. And those little word changes really make all the difference, right? It's all about perspective. Are we celebrating our wins, or are we only focusing on what went wrong? I talk to people, and 8 out of 9 or 10 things go well, and they're like, oh, but that one thing didn't go well, right? It's always the one thing we focus on is the thing that didn't go well. Well, what about all those other great things that happened? Let's celebrate those. So all part of this, talking about positive mindset is flipping your script, focusing on the positives, and then not getting caught up in the past, right? We can't change what happened in the past. Don't worry about how you got to where you are today. Use it as a learning experience and then leave it behind, right? Focus on today and the future, because that's really is what's going to get you to your goals.
Right. Yeah. Ooh, so much there to unpack. That's so good. So one of the things you were talking about earlier was the whole thing about perfection, right? One of the things I tell my clients all the time, and it's a well-known saying, strive for progress, not for perfection. And it's because none of us can be perfect, right? We're never going to do things perfect. But for some reason, when it comes to nutrition and exercise, we put this added pressure on it for some reason. And it's like, just go for a walk, do something, eat an apple instead of a candy bar. It doesn't have to be this huge overhaul. And then you spoke about the words. Like I always tell people, I'm like, words are so powerful, and people don't realize that what the connotation in our subconscious certain words have. Like whenever I have clients that talk about food, or a food that oh, I love that food. No, you enjoy that food. You enjoy the taste of that food. You love your husband. You love your kids, because that's an emotional thing that you tie to. You don't want to tie emotions to food, because that's how people get screwed up with, eating for comfort and eating for all those other types of things. So yeah, I love this about the self-talk, because this is so huge in our industry. And I think it's one of the things that a lot of the health and fitness industry, I always say, like, we kind of do a disservice to people because we focus so much on weight loss. It's like weight loss becomes the pinnacle for everything that people do. And I'm like, but we have the most obese people in the country, but we have $1 billion fat loss, industry. Right. It's like, we need to focus on, like you're saying, focus on mindset, focus on accountability, giving yourself positive reaffirmations for what you're doing. And like you said, don't focus on the things that you can't do. When I had my fitness studio, I had a policy when people came into my studio space, you could not say anything negative about yourself. Like you were, especially people that were over 40, they were not allowed to say, I'm getting old. You could say you're getting older. You could say, I'm not feeling, strong today, but they were not allowed, because think about that word old. As soon as you hear old, you think decrepit, you think breaking down. But if you're just getting older, it's a natural process. Words are powerful. Love that, love that, love that. And one of the things too, I think is important for us, is really, and I think that we had spoken about this a little bit in our pre-call, is about gratitude, and things like that. So talk a little bit more about, like gratitude for like we were saying, being able to do the things that you're doing.
That's right. That's right. And it's funny, you're speaking my language. You're talking about talking to your clients about progress, not perfection. I say that all the time. I feel
Mhm.
like we probably sound very similar when we're talking to our clients. Yes, gratitude and grace are so important, right? One of the things to think about is change can be hard.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no doubt about it. Change can be hard, especially when you've had lifelong habits. And so just because you've decided you're going to change doesn't mean you're going to wake up tomorrow and things are going to be different, right? So you need to give yourself grace, understand you're not going to get it right the first time, and know that you're going to make mistakes. I always tell my clients that like your sign of success and progress isn't that you didn't make any mistakes. It's how quickly did you pick yourself up and get back on track? Because we all slip up, right?
Mhm.
Like what is a perfect diet? What is a perfect exercise routine? Those things don't exist. So we're never going to live up to this ideal of perfection. And if we're beating ourselves up, that's not going to help. So I think, grace is really important to, pick yourself back up, brush yourself off, get back to it. And then when we talk about gratitude, right, we have so much to be thankful for every day. And we need to not just focus in on the things that didn't go as planned or, what's not going exactly to our liking today. It's proven that gratitude helps you experience more positive emotions. It really does improve your health and wellness. Makes you more resilient against stress. It builds stronger relationships. And so having a regular gratitude practice, whether that be writing in a gratitude journal, daily or weekly. This could be as simple as, writing something you're thankful for in the morning or, spending a minute before meal, saying what you're thankful for, just really simple activities to express gratitude. Or maybe you have a gratitude jar, right? That you drop a little note in when you're feeling grateful for something. And then you pull it out, a few months later and reflect on those things. Or taking it back to the spiritual practice, right? Like meditation and prayer, those are really good ways to also express gratitude. And so I think when you combine this idea of, showing grace to yourself, showing gratitude to others, it's a really good cycle and mindset to get yourself in when we're talking about your overall mental and physical well-being.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I always talk about when you're talking about gratitude and even with meditation. One of the things with gratitude is I tell people it's like sometimes it doesn't need to be spoken. You know what I mean? It could be just going out in the backyard and just looking up in the sky and just enjoying and just taking in your atmosphere and everything around you. And like you said, you mentally know, there's places where people don't have this. You know what I mean? In America, we're definitely more lucky than a lot of other countries to have the things that we have and the freedoms that we have, right? And just that in itself, gives gratitude. And then when we go to meditation, I like that you gave different types of ways that you can meditate, because that too. A walk can be a meditation. You know what I mean? Listening to slow music. I think people get so caught up in the thought that they have to sit in silence for 10 minutes. Even for me, that freaks me out. Mind Valley had this, like it was a challenge that you do and you sit in silence for, a certain amount of time. But what they did, and I loved what they did, was they put this like really calming music behind it, and they just kind of guided you through it. Like they told you, what you should be thinking about or how to breathe, and there's so many different ways. And again, I think people just get so caught up in thinking that there's one way to do something, even with like exercise. It's like, there are so many different ways to exercise. When people tell me I hate to exercise, I'm like, so you've done every exercise on the earth that that there's nothing that you found that you like. It's like, again, goes back to words. When you say you hate it, every time it comes up, you're going to think, I hate exercise. It just
Right.
comes, it's like a full circle thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, when we're talking about mindset and accountability, like, let's say someone's new to this, like they're new to this whole realm of, like you said, we're trying to get people with baby steps. What can people do to make this something that's long lasting for them, that they can build upon and keep doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, a key to long-term change is really accountability. Like it's not only enough to know how to do something, but you need to be able to have this accountability structure that will keep it going for the long haul. Because when we start something new, it's always exciting and we're motivated, especially when we're seeing results, right? And, oh, this is great, I'm going to do this forever. But as time goes by, you lose that motivation and it loses the sparkle maybe a little bit. It's harder to keep up with it. And so that's when having like an accountability structure is really important. So I always, tell folks, maybe you've tried this before and it didn't work. Well, likely accountability was your missing key, right? And so, internal and external accountability are the two main, considerations, and they're both important. So when I talk about internal accountability, right, that is, being accountable to yourself. It's your internal drive, what gets you out of bed in the morning, what gets you out the door for that run. And there's ways to get that more of so for internal accountability, so there's some strategies to increase that, right? So one thing you can do is set goals for yourself. And write them down, right? We need to see them every day. They need to be on our phone or on our desktop or on our medicine cabinet in our bathroom. We need to see our goals every day. And then we need to have a plan. So set a goal, great, but then have a plan. So your goal is drink 10 cups of water a day. Okay, well, make sure you have a refillable water bottle. You have access to water. You set reminders on your phone to drink water, right? Make a plan. You want to run a 5K? Okay, make sure you have running shoes. Start walking, maybe do some intervals, then get yourself running, right? You have to have a plan to get yourself going. And then, back to the showing yourself grace. Don't beat yourself up every time you make a mistake. Show yourself some grace so that you can pick yourself up, get back on track. When we talk about external accountability, so that's being accountable to other people, and that's also really important. Think about, a team sport. You're accountable to your other players. Or think about a support group, right? You have people who are in your corner checking in with you. And I think the external accountability is really important. So, post things on social media. Say you're going to go out and you have this goal. Then, you have people checking in with you. Find an accountability partner. It could be your spouse. It could be your neighbor. It could be anybody. Someone who has your best interest in mind and who wants to kind of be your cheerleader in your corner. It will help you to have someone checking in with you. Or hire a coach, right? Or have a mentor, like someone who can be in your corner, who can be checking in with you. I say that's one of my primary responsibilities with my clients, right? Is I'm their accountability partner. So yes, I'm there to guide them on nutrition and exercise, but I'm also there for accountability. I'm there to check in with them. I'm there to keep them motivated. When things get tough, remind them why they got into this to begin with.
Yeah. And, you spoke about the internal accountability and how you should be putting things up. One thing that I always try to remind people, though, is that even if you put something up where you think that it's somewhere that you're going to see it every day, often, I always say switch up where it is, just because sometimes those things kind of blend into the wall. You know what I mean? Because if they're in the same space too long and we bypass them, and it's like just becomes part of like a photo that's in your room that you probably don't even look at anymore, So making sure that you kind of switch it up. I usually have my clients switch it up every week. Like one day it's on the door as you're walking out of the house. The next day it's on or the next week it's on your kitchen mirror, or your bathroom mirror, just switching it up so that, again, it doesn't become this thing that's a wall. And with the external, as health and fitness coaches, we know the importance of working with someone that actually knows what they're doing. And in a world where there's so many, influencers who become influencers just because they look good, not because they have education. In fact, I just saw a guy the other day that was I don't know if he was doing shoulder presses or if he was just doing bent over rows or something, but he's like, this is what you call high intensity interval training. I'm like, no, it's not. It's like, it's like, but this guy has like 4 million followers. You know what I mean? It's like, but he's teaching the wrong thing, so just make sure that if you are working with a professional, make sure that they have, the certifications, the background, or, before and afters, that they've actually gotten other people results based on what they do. So, and sometimes it's tough when you have like family members and things like that, that are helping you. Like, what do you think about that? Like, one of the things that I found is that, I know because they're people that we love, we kind of trust them more. But sometimes, again, if they don't know what they're doing, like, I know this is way off topic, but just wondering how do you address that with people that you've worked with or anything like that?
Yeah, I always try to, bring people back to the science
Mm.
behind whatever it is, whatever advice they're getting from, and the research behind it. I also feel like, if anyone ever gets caught up in like the fads, like the fad diets, and a lot of times, oh, so and so, my friend said this works. It's debunking the fads, but also letting people know, like, just because it worked for your friend doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Like, I really stand on we are bio-individual people. Diet is very bio-individual. Exercise is very bio-individual. So don't just watch something on, YouTube or TikTok and be like, oh, that worked for that person, it's going to work for me. Or, my friend on the street lost 100 pounds doing this crazy diet, it's going to work for me too. It's like, don't, just because it worked for somebody else doesn't mean it worked for you. So I always encourage people, to understand the science, certainly talk to their healthcare providers before they go on and try anything that, seems a little out there.
Mhm.
And to just know that, like, they're a unique person. And so don't just listen to what worked for everybody else.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, actually, and then I also love that you specialize in nutrition as well. Thinking maybe we might have you back on the show to do something specifically for nutrition. That would be a good talk that I think that viewers could benefit from. Yeah,
I would
so
love that.
awesome. So, is there anything that you would like to share with everyone before we sign off today?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is to just understand, your health and your well-being is one of the most important things in your life. And it should be something that you invest in every day. I think we take it for granted, when we get caught up in life and family responsibilities. And, oftentimes we don't pay attention to our health until we have a problem or an issue or something's too late. And so as someone who's speaking from like personal experience, right? You want to prioritize your health and your wellness every day. I do that now. I wish I did it back then. And I want to, reach as many people as possible to share that message.
Yeah, I'm all on board with that right there. That's awesome. Now, if someone wants to work with you, what are the different kind of things that you do as far as like coaching or training programs and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do one-on-one coaching, and I work with people virtually, so I can see anybody all around the country, wherever you're kind of listening in. Focus a lot on nutrition, personal training, and as well as the other lifestyle aspects like sleep and self-care, stress management, kind of holistic wellness picture. So I do offer one-on-one coaching. And I also have an online course, which is a really cool option. So if you're someone who, maybe wants to dip your toe in, but doesn't know if you can commit to like a one-on-one coach, I've taken my 6-month program and I've put it into a kind of DIY format that you can do work through on your own pace. And so that could be a really good option. And both of those are available on my website.
Nice. Now, I noticed you just said 6-month coaching. Now, again, so many of these fitness gurus out here and everybody is doing like the 12-week thing. What are your thoughts on those quick fix programs?
Yeah, I think it's not enough time to make long-term changes, to be honest. I picked 6 months as like my starting point because I think you need at least that much time to make real sustainable change. I mean, in 12 weeks, you're barely going to figure out like what the problems are, what's starting to work, what's not working, right? And I really believe in, taking things one thing at a time so you don't get overwhelmed, especially as someone who is new to, exercise and eating a certain way. And so I feel like you need at least 6 months. I mean, I have many clients who sign on for, another 6 months or another 6 months because it's a journey, right? We're not running a race. This is a marathon. This is the journey. And having at least 6 months to start with to work through it, I think makes a lot of sense. Anything that's shorter than that, I feel like you're setting yourself up to fail. You might get some quick results, but then you're going to end up falling away from those habits.
Yep, totally agree with that. You're going to go right back into what you were doing before, kids. Because, like you're saying, those quick fixes, that's just what it is. It's a quick fix. It's not a long-term thing. So, yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for sharing your expertise with everyone. And we're going to make sure that you guys have access to be able to get in touch with Dianna. So, there's going to be some QR codes and some links for you guys at the end of the show. So, again, thank you so much for being on today, Dianna. And thank you all for watching. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Take care.
For Dianna's personalized one-to-one health coaching, scan the QR code on the screen. And for Dianna's online course, you can scan the QR code on this screen.